Good, and you may begin your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Walker-Smith. Thank you so much for coming out to our eProcurement 101 presentation. I am your presenter today. I am in the Department of Procurement Services. My title is Project Coordinator. As Jackie has mentioned, please review our website, cityofchicago.org/procurement. We have, as she stated, we have a wealth of information out there for you. But today, my job is to give you a tutorial on how to utilize eProcurement and iSupplier Portal. Our agenda is, what is eProcurement? Accessing the iSupplier Portal and the online bidding folder. How to register. How to view bids and solicitations. How to respond to a bid or a solicitation. And please put your questions into the Q&A panel as Jackie has requested. An overview of eProcurement. So eProcurement, it is the enhanced city's financial management procurement system, lovingly known to us as FMPS. Our source is Oracle, that applies web technology to the acquisitions of goods and services. The iSupplier Portal is a full-service resource for you vendors doing business or interested in doing business with the City of Chicago. The fully committed eProcurement contract types to date are commodities, construction, and small order. Later in this year, we will add professional services, aviation, and work services. We do have some aviation currently eProcurement solicitations. We are piloting our professional services. Work services, we are writing up the documentation now. Heavy vehicles and heavy equipment will come later in the year because it is such a diverse commodity that it's going to take us a little longer to get that one prepared. The City of Chicago has implemented the iSupplier Portal online eProcurement system for all purchasing activities. As a registered vendor in the iSupplier Portal, you will be able to view and respond to bids and solicitations online, view orders, your payments, invoices, past and present. You'll be able to update your company information with contacts, address, phone number, email, and you're also able to give a contact person access to the portal. To assist vendors with the transition to the iSupplier Portal and online bidding process, the city has developed the eProcurement microsite. It is your how-to manual for eProcurement. The web address is https://www.cityofchicago.org eProcurement. You will get a visual of that microsite. Our security is as such. It is secure. Your login is secure. The city takes security seriously and ensures all information is encrypted. The city uses the same protocol as banks with HTTPS when you log in. Bid solicitations are not visible to employees or other vendors prior to a bid opening. Your bid is secure. No one can see it but you. Login and registration. Existing vendors with the city vendor number. You currently have a city vendor number, but you are not an iSupplier Portal vendor, enabling you to submit an electronic solicitation. You have to click on the Request at iSupplier Invitation button. For new vendors who currently do not have a vendor number with the city, you must click on New Vendor Registration button. You will get a visual of that. It is very important that when you are registering, that you include a .pdf of your W-9 FEIN tax ID. Your 9-digit W-9 number that you input on the registration and the vendor name that you input on the registration must match the W-9. If it does not, it'll be sent back to you. Caveat to this information: the business name that you want to use should be the business name that you want the event that you are awarded a contract, that you want the city to pay you up under that business name. Oftentimes, the W-9 will have the legal entity and the DBA. It's your choice which one you choose to use, as long as it's on the W-9 and as long as that name is also on the registration. That will be the business name that the city, upon award of a contract, will pay you up under. This screenshot right here is of the microsite. This screenshot right here is of the microsite that I spoke to. It is the iSupplier Portal. The orange ribbon here, home, logged in and registration, current bids and solicitation opportunities, online training materials, delegates I do not speak to, and your help is all a part of information that is going to help you and guide you through how to view and how to enter. This page also informs you of how often our training sessions are here below. We are in a training session currently today for May the 20th, and our next one is in June, and we'll have one all the way up to the end of the year at 2 o'clock. So let's just say you missed something in this presentation and you haven't viewed the video that is online. You can always attend as many workshops as you like. Vendor registration. Oftentimes I get phone calls from other vendors who are doing business with our sister agency. And our existing sister agencies are city colleges and CHA, CPD, Chicago Park District, Chicago Public Schools, CTA, McPeer, and the Public Building Commission, as well as Cook County. Any registration, any certification, any vendor number that you may have from these sister agencies are not collaborating or transferable to or with the city of Chicago. You must have a city of Chicago vendor. Okay. So often I get calls. I talked to somebody at CPS and they told me that I need to have a vendor number in order to get a contract with them. My response to that is CPS has their own procurement department, and you need to speak with them about getting a vendor number for CPS. Okay, so they're not transferable. The only entity that is transferable with the city is Cook County, and that is concerning MBE WBE certification. If you have a certification with the county, that MBE WBE certification is transferable with the city. You don't have to apply twice. See this big orange button right here? We'll see it again, but because I see it now. Request an iSupplier invitation. That button is for vendors who are currently doing business with the city and have a vendor number, but they're not an iSupplier Portal vendor. This orange button here is new vendor registration. This button is for vendors who are interested in doing business with the city. And it also informs you to enter or include your W-9, because your registration will be returned to you with a note of supplier to provide more detail. Okay. This is the bang bang of it all for you vendors, so to speak. Current bids and solicitation opportunity. It's above here. You click on the current bids and solicitations opportunity button. or you can click here at eProcurement and eProcurement bid and solicitation opportunities. That's going to take you to our abstract, which is a listing of all of the upcoming. You can also look at those that have closed as well, because there's a drop-down menu of our current and our closed e-procurement solicitations. That is where you find those RFQ numbers at. In the event, we also allow you to register on this same page. If you hit the registration page, it'll take you to registering if you're not already registered. Paper bid solicitations and non-e-procurement. In the middle of the screen, it reads paper bid opportunity. And to download the bid opportunities list, two things are here. Currently, we are not and will not, unless it's a reason for it. It has to be a real reason why we do solicit a paper bid. We are all electronic now in our bid solicitation bidding process. But prior to that, if you may not already know, this is where you would look at paper bid opportunity. What we are using this page for is when the solicitation is so large that the file will not accompany into the electronic solicitation. We do load the files here with note to vendor by the procurement specialist, where they can find these files that they will need to, as part of the requirement for the solicitation. As well, the blue writing that says download the bid opportunity list, that is the listing that if you are already signed up with DPS alerts, this is the listing that informs you of when bids are going to be opened. It comes out weekly every Monday. I encourage you, if you have not already, to sign up for DPS alerts. Pre-bid and pre-submittal conference. So we'll get a look, I do believe. We'll have a look in a screenshot. When a solicitation is, when it's time for a solicitation, depending on what the solicitation is, it is a requirement that there be a pre-bid conference. The pre-bid conference attendees are the vendors who are interested in the solicitation, the using department for the city who lets out the solicitation, its project managers and engineers and everyone person that has some involvement with the solicitation, and the procurement specialist from DPS that explains the solicitation to you. It is an advantage for the vendor to attend, although it's not mandatory. We do highly suggest, because that's where you can ask all your questions about the solicitation at the pre-bid, as well as meet other vendors who have that same interest. You may already know them in that same solicitation. And then the pre-bid attendees listing is just that. You will sign up when you come through the door, wherever the solicitation, the pre-bid conference is being held. And then that information is entered here by that information is entered based on the form provided, and it's uploaded into the web, so you can see all the vendors who attended the pre-bid solicitation. This screenshot is to show you how you get there. So you're in our website, you go to what we do, and then you go to the drop-down menu. You go to contract administration, and not only can you find the pre-bid solicitation, but you can also find your bid tabulation for solicitation that you may have bidded on, information about the bid and bond room, which currently is closed right now, but we do read our bids from the bid and bond room. You can get a copy of the current bid opportunity. So what we do at contract administration with that drop-down menu gives you a plethora of information concerning our business processes. The takeout list, same thing. Just like the pre-bid attendees list, who were the vendors who attended this pre-bid for this particular solicitation. The takeout list informs vendors who else took out the solicitation. They, as you did, you went and you downloaded it, you entered your name and your company name, and you took out the solicitation. Well, that's also noted on our website. The vendors who are currently on the takeout list for that particular or a particular solicitation. It too is found in what we do. So this is an example of how you may search. So you can't remember the solicitation number, but you know that there's a company who may be interested in the solicitation as you are. You can search for that vendor by name. And as long as the information has been entered into the system will generate this onto our website. So we didn't use a specification number or an agency to do a search. We did a fuzzy search with a common vendor for the city of Chicago being FH Passion. And in this resulted in this example of 4 solicitations that they had taken out by its specification number, not the RFQ number. Far to the left, that is mentioning to you, who is the agency? The agency is the city. What is the spec number? The spec number is next to the word, and then the name of the firm and their address and phone number. This is the abstract that I was speaking of, and it's part of the ePROCUREMENT bid and solicitation opportunities button. When you click on that button, you'll get an abstract view of our current active solicitation. Here on this page, there's the word status. I hope that you can see it, and it reads next to it active. Well, there's a drop-down menu, and you can also select whatever is your preference. There are some awarded, and then there's closed. So this screenshot here is specific to looking at viewing the abstract of our active solicitation. So from left to right, let me go back. In lieu of reading the columns and fields here, the screenshot is next. So we chose a solicitation, and the solicitation number is 7317. So from left to right, you have your department who is letting out the solicitation. The event, which is actually a contract type. Terminology's changed in ePROCUREMENT. So the contract type and or event is a commodity. Again, the solicitation number, the specification number, and the solicitation title. Note, the specification number always precedes the subject or the description of the solicitation. Always. Excuse me. The advertisement date, that's the date that the solicitation is hit paper. The advertisement date, that's the date that the solicitation hits the paper. The supplier response start date is the date that you can download the solicitation or begin to work on it if you like. The supplier response due date is the date that the bid opens. Okay, that's the date of the bid opening. Again, that is terminology change. Protected markets, if it is a target market or a small business initiative or MBI, that will be reflected in that column for target market, for protected market. The deadline for questions is specific. If there's a deadline for questions, your questions must be entered or sent to the procurement specialist by that date. If you wait the day after that date, they're not responsible for it, and they don't have to answer any questions after the deadline date. The column that reads details with the little glasses, that's how you get a PDF. You open up, you can look at a PDF before downloading it, lets you read it. You can look at the PDF if you click on the glasses. Below that, this is a vertical view of the horizontal view above. It repeats the same information. When you click on the glasses, below is a copy of a PDF of the solicitation. Now note here, you have a picture here on our screenshot. You clicked on the glasses and there's the solicitation, but to print it, you have to click on this PDF file here where it reads document PDF file. The one that's at the top, it does not work. This is just a point of information for you. Here, PDF file is how you retrieve it. So now you've registered. Your registration has been approved. You received your email from Workflow Mailer with your username and your password. And once you receive that, you are ready to enter in your username and your password into Oracle. You're going to get a temporary password, and if that email that comes to you has your temporary password, well, it will have it. But if it ends with a period, do not copy the period. It's because that's ending the sentence. The period is not part of your password. You can copy and paste it. And if it doesn't accept it, then you have to type it. Okay, that's just a little caveat for you. Your username is always going to be your email address. So now we've logged in, and the first thing that you will see, you have two folders. Another method of knowing is that you're in, you will see City of Chicago e-business suite apps Pride. That means applications production. You are into the Oracle system and you can go to work. You will acquire two folders. The first folder is the City of Chicago iSupplier Portal with invoice creation. And the second folder is City of Chicago online bidding. We're going to speak to the first folder. So below that screenshot is a screenshot of what the contents are for City of Chicago iSupplier Portal with invoice creation. You have 5 tabs there: home, orders, shipment, admin, which is my favorite, and finance. I can't speak to finance. That's for payment processing, and any questions that you may have, you're able to, and our help. I hope that we have a number or an email for you, just for your knowledge of if you have any questions pertaining to billing. So at admin, this is where your vendor records reside. And the first screenshot is the general. It gives you your name of your organization, your supplier number, and your FEIN number. You're able to look at the address book and the contact directory and business classifications if it's required for your vendor. Generally, the business classifications are for our delegate agency department. The procurement per se does not ask for classifications unless it's part of a requirement for that RFQ. So again, here at admin tab, you're able to update an address, add. When I say update, I mean if you're no longer at that address that you see, you can update it and change it in lieu of adding it a new address. We are trying to keep the vendor database clean. So I ask that you would update an address in lieu of adding a new address, unless you do have another location. Again, here at Contact Directory, that is where you would add a colleague that would need access to the iSupplier portal. You can add. We're to our second folder, City of Chicago Online Bidding. When you click on the plus button, or you can click on the word City of Chicago Online Bidding, it's going to open up to invoice creation, home. Oh, I'm sorry, that's correct. That's it. I'm incorrect. For the City of Chicago Online Bidding, it's going to open up to sourcing homepage. That's going to become your best friend. And then work list. The work list is to the right. Now, the work list is going to be your repository of everything you do in Oracle, and everything you do with a solicitation. How often have you had communication via online discussion with the specialist and things like that? That's what the work list is there for you. But for when it comes time for you to search for your RFQ number, you would go to the page, the paper page that says sourcing home page. That's going to be your best friend. Down below, after clicking on sourcing home page, this is your view. It's blank. It's going to be blank because you haven't done anything. But as you get familiar, as you begin to bid or look at solicitations, you may not even submit it, but you started it, right? That activity will be noted on this page. Here's a legend of once you've done a search for your solicitation, or no, I'm sorry, this legend is for your activity in the sourcing homepage of the solicitation that you have a response number for. Like I said, you may not have submitted it. I don't have a draft here as an example. There's no draft example, but we will go through the response statuses. So your response number is the number received when the solicitation has been saved. It's your number for the specific solicitation, so write it down. Your response status occurs with an action. It's either active bid, a draft began and saved, but not submitted, and resubmission required. That means an addendum has been issued and you must acknowledge receipt of it. Once you enter into the solicitation and you save it and it's a draft, when when an amendment or an addendum is generated, you'll be notified via email or via online discussion by the buyer, the specialist, and you'll see in the response status that resubmission is required. It's not that you have to start over, but you have to acknowledge that addendum. The next column is supplier site. DPS does not use it, although you see headquarters in there. We don't use that site. We don't use that column. The solicitation number is the number of the RFQ. The title precedes with the specification number, the colon, a colon, and the title subject of the RFQ. Always. Type, it should always be an RFQ. It might be an RFP, where it's a request for a proposal, but generally they're always RFQ. Time left is the number of days you have remaining before the solicitation is opening. Your monitor can be used to see the activity of the RFQ. So that monitor just kind of As often as you're in it, you know, it's the grid, so it goes up and down. Unread messages. Messages are sent via online discussion by our procurement specialists conducting the RFQ. So if they have questions for you or 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 notables for you to adhere to or whatever, they're going to send you an online message. And here, as an example, down at the bottom, this RFQ has two online messages for the vendor. Now, searching. You can search by title, number, contact, category, line, or event. The most common search method is number. Again, terminology changed in eProcurement. Title means specification number. You can search by spec number, or you can search by number. Number is the RFQ number. I suggest that you would search by the RFQ number. And then you put your number in the field box and hit go. So this example is an example of a fuzzy search. So a fuzzy search is when you don't quite know the number. You don't know what the number is, you know it started with something. So our fuzzy search example is with the number 7. And I put in the number 7 and hit go, and then it results in 3 solicitations that start with the number 7. And again, it tells you the RFQ number, the specification number with the title, contact, who is the procurement specialist for the particular solicitation. So now remember, you can search by contact. So once you have a copy of that RFQ, the front-facing page of that solicitation, it tells you who your procurement specialist is, their email address, and their phone number. Time left before the solicitation opens, the closing date of it. All responses are sealed, so no one can see it. Your company's responses, it lets you know how many times you've been in there. So you went in there and it was a draft. And then you went back and you submitted. Your number will change. There's your monitor and your unread message. Now let me go back, right? See this response button right here? Respond. You can, I suggest you click that button once you find your solicitation number, right? This means that you want to respond. That's how you get notified of everything. Addendum. If you don't click respond, you won't be notified because you're really just looking around. But if you know that you want to submit the solicitation, you must hit respond. If you get to the end of the solicitation, you done fill things out. You may have, it may be a one-liner for the proposal page. It may be a one-liner, and you fill that out. And you get to the end and you want to submit. You're not going to be able to because you didn't respond. So put in your RFQ number, you find it, and then hit the respond button. Hit the respond button. And now you're all in. Everything's gravy. This is the first page of the electronic solicitation. It's an acknowledgement of our terms and conditions. It is just simply stating that it's our disclaimer. We're not responsible if you submit your bid late, or if you have an electronic failure, or anything of that nature. Just read our disclaimer, and you must accept our terms and conditions by hitting the accept button. Your first page, your second page would be, you get 2 columns, header and line. Header will hold everything you're responsible 4, requirement. It's the requirement section. You can also add your attachment. You're going to, okay, right quick. Like, you have to upload a .pdf of your FEIN for a solicitation. You have to upload your EDS. We'll get there, but I wanted to just get it out before I forget. Your insurance, you have to upload. Any certifications that are part of the requirement. So here down where it says requirement, the first panel is a procurement informational for you, vendor. It's letting you know that there are some preferences that are conducive to the solicitation. So you may want to say yes to that when you get to that box. And it's letting you know that the funding sources from the city, it could be federal. And that the unit or the event or the contract type is commodity. It's letting you know that there's one drawing there and how long is the contract terms for the solicitation, and that there was a pre-bid contract. Below that is all of your responsibility. You see the white boxes to the right? They can't be blank. Now, if for construction contracts, it may be, I don't know how many white boxes that you have to say yes, no to, right? None can be blank. As well, where it says enter the EDS number from your EDS certificate and attach the certificate right here, it must be entered here. If this is blank or any of these white boxes are blank, up at the top of the page, you'll get your error messages, and your error messages are going to tell you that the EDS field is blank, or it must contain data. It may say something very technical, but what it's saying is that the white space needs information in it, okay? So you want to make sure that all of your white spaces are filled in. When you're ready to attach your documents, so what you have to attach your EDS, you have to attach your signature page, you have to attach your insurance certificate, and maybe some other things that are a requirement of the solicitation. You go to add attachments and you hit file. When you're adding your attachments, you put in so that it is part of the solicitation, the spec number and what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, colon, insurance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, EDS. So that's how it's noted as an actual RFQ receivable. Your second tab is lines. Lines are the proposal pages, right? You don't have to do any math. Maybe in your office you may even have to do math, but for the solicitation itself, the estimated quantity is always provided by the using department that's letting out the solicitation. Your quote price unit is the only thing that you have to fill in. So that's a caveat. Again, the page lets you know that here's your create quote number for this solicitation is at the top of the page from left to right. Your create quote number is there and the RFQ number is there, and then to the right, it's telling you how many days, how much time you have left before the date of the bid opening. Now that you have filled out the lines page, right? Again, there is your quote number for the specific solicitation with the spec number preceding the description has been saved as a draft. Your response status before you get to submit it is a draft. online discussion. All discussion must be had as an online discussion. We highly suggest any question that you have about the RFQ, the solicitation that you want to submit, that you submit that as an online discussion. What happens is, I'm a vendor, you're a vendor, someone else a vendor, there's many vendors. All of us have a question. All of us want an answer. Some of us may have the same question. What happens is the question turns into an addendum. And the addendum is something that you're going to have to acknowledge because the specialist has answered the question that you may have about the solicitation. That's why it's very important that you adhere to the deadline date for questions, because at that time, after the deadline date, an addendum is generated, and then the questions are answered. And then you can continue to fill out your solicitation because your question has been answered. So you would click on, there's actions at the right. At the drop-down menu, you will select online discussion, and then you hit go. At go, there's new message. You would click on the new message button. You would enter the spec number and your subject. Spec number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Question. Subject to your question. What is your question about? And then your message, your story. And hit send to the left, to the right. And if you have to add any attachments pertaining to your question, you can do that here at Add Attachment, and then hit Send. Amendment acknowledgement. So, as the example given, all questions have been met by the deadline question date, and now an addendum has been generated for the vendors to acquire their answer. When you log back in, not only when you log back in, but your response status is going to say resubmission required, because it wants you to acknowledge the amendment, and it's telling you that right here. You'll see that negotiations, whatever the number is, has amendments that require your acknowledgement. Do you want to proceed? Yes, you do, so that you can continue to process your solicitation to become active, a response status of active. Now, you're ready to submit. It is an electronic signature. To the right, you see the arrow with the words pointing to the word submit is grayed out. That's because you have to fill out everything to the left. But system's kind of quirky. You would think that you would click the box first and then put in your name and your title. Nope. Put in your name and your title first, and then click the box. If you don't, it's not going to shout. It's not going to highlight. The submit button is going to stay grayed out. So you just do the reverse. Put your name and your title in first, and then click the box. I do it all the time. I just play with it because I can't believe that it just won't accept it. It doesn't. So once you hit submit, your response status becomes active, and the next business day, you'll get a confirmation of your submission. We did this so that the vendor would not be concerned about did they submit an active solicitation. We get that phone call often. So we generated this response to you after your solicitation has a response status as active. And it's just letting you know that confirmation of a quote submission, and it's giving you the detail of the information of your quote number for which RFQ, its specification and its subject matter, and the date and time that you submitted. Caveat down here at the bottom. If you have any questions or require additional assistance, please contact customer support at cityofchicago.org. If you have system problem, if you are unable, to submit, if something occurs, contact customer support, please. Any questions, again, that you would have about the RFQ, contact the procurement specialist. Please do not contact the using department that's letting out the solicitation. This here, online training material. This is part of the microsite. Remember the microsite where you go to log in and or register here at current bid and solicitation opportunities, where you'll look at the abstract or the paper documents. And then there's online training material, your how to do it part. To the left, it's all about registration and profile updates, how to enter into the admin tab for your vendor record, right? So everything that is written out, like the first one, first time access supplier, iSupplier, the Word generate for you a PDF document that you can read, or a video. Click on video, it'll show you the words that are in video. It'll take you step by step. Let's look at this. The second one is pertaining to invoices and purchases. That's a finance matter. The bottom one is delegate agency training for those vendors who are interested in the delegate agency process. They have their own workshop for their solicitation. The right, supplier response submission, all pertaining to the solicitation. Everything you need to know, how to enter, how to view, how to search, what to do. First time, no addenda. Construction, probably very expensive because construction contracts are expensive. So this is your holy grail, how to manual to ePROCUREMENT. Please utilize it. I promise it's your best friend. So again, who to contact for assistance? Questions on registration, please contact customer support at cityofchicago.org, or you can contact them at 312-744-HELP. The training materials, there are documents and videos for which we've just gone over. And to access this microsite, the web link is here at the bottom. https://chicago.gov/city. Well, I use, because this is going to take you straight to online training material. To get to the microsite is www.cityofchicago.org/ePROCUREMENT, and that'll get you to our microsite. So this ends my presentation. Thank you so much for attending. I hope that I gave you as much information as I possibly could. Are there any questions?
All righty. I think there are a few questions. Let's see. I guess not. You have done an awesome job, I guess, and there are no questions. Let me just say this. If there are any of the participants, if you have a question, if you could go now to the, no, leave that up.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to
That's okay.
get to the QA.
Yeah, leave that up. Leave that up. If you have any questions, if you could go to the Q&A box at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you do not see Q&A, click on the three dots and then at the top of that menu, you should see Q&A. Click on that, and a drop-down menu will come, and you can go ahead and type your question in and press the enter key. I'm not sure what page. Somebody was asking if you could go back to the previous page. I'm not sure.
Previous page.
What we can leave it there. Maybe that is the page that they were referring to. And are there any questions? If you could put your questions in the Q&A panel so that we can look in the Q&A panel for that. Rodney, if you would do me a favor and resend the information that you sent earlier for those that were not on earlier so that they would be able to get that information. The presentations, he is going to send that link to you guys of where you can find the presentation from, and where you can get a copy of the recording as well. Are there any additional questions? I'm not sure about this question that's asked, Pam. It says, are there RFPs for City of Chicago too? I'm not sure what that's in reference to.
Well, the best answer for that is that they would look at the abstract to see a couple of things. They would look at the abstract first to see if there are any bids coming, the solicitations coming out for RFPs. Yes, we do requests for proposals. Yes, we do. And you may look at the buy-in plans to see if anything's coming up, whatever quarter of the year that may be coming up. Yeah, that would be it.
All right. Can you make sure that you put in the questions in the Q&A panel? Hopefully everybody knows where that is. Please don't send private messages just to me, because we are keeping track of the questions in the Q&A. So if you can send that in the Q&A panel, I greatly appreciate it. I'm not sure what the question is. Somebody's asking about grant writing. I'm not sure what the question is there. I'm not sure with what RFPs equal request for proposal. I'm not sure what the question is there.
No, they're thanking. They're saying thank you. Yeah, the city does. The city does do. So you know, the city does do solicitations for an RFP. Then that solicitation, after the proposals are presented, reviewed, and accepted, however that process is, then it turns into an RFQ. So it's a double-edged sword.
Okay. Let's see if there are any additional questions in the Q&A panel.
The question, for example, of professional services opportunities, yes, we do have RFPs for that. Again, it would be up under professional services when that comes around. So you would have to, I'm not sure if there's a preferred vendors list for that, which it could possibly be, I'm not sure, but you can always look at our abstract, and you can always send a question to DPS feedback, and whatever question that you may present, it will be sent to the correct department, who would unit in our department, who would be able to answer that.
All righty. All right, I guess that is it. I want to say thank you very much to Pamela Walker-Smith for imparting that great information off to us. And I also would like to thank the participants for spending a little extra time today with us. I say in closing, social distance, wear your masks, wash your hands, all that great stuff. And hopefully everyone is getting vaccinated when they can. And we will be back in City Hall hopefully soon. So we will see you at the next presentation. And we thank you so much for attending this presentation. Thank you, and
Thank
thank
you.
Pamela.
Thank you very much. My
Mhm.
pleasure.